Hello, welcome to a video for Dusty from the G.I. Joe Pursuit of Cobra line. Go ahead and turn the card this way, and you'll see the name Dusty and Desert Combat Specialist. Here we have the G.I. Joe logo for this universe. We have a portrait of the character Dusty here. We have the updated for the line brand G.I. Joe logo. You have the number of Dusty, and he is 1014, so 1014 is his figure number. Then we have Dusty in his rectangular clear plastic bubble here. We've got the figure, his two guns, a thing of barbed wire, a sticker that can be removed talking about the new network that should be launching October 10th of this year, 2010. A Hasbro sticker that can't be taken off unless you go through the back of the or inside of the card. In order to get this look of the figure that's on the side here, or character here, you take this alternate helmet and you pop off the head and you switch them in order to get that look. Then we'll go to the back of the card. You have visit GIJoe.com, which has been updated for this new universe. We have Dusty's number again. We have what G.I. Joe is for this line of figures. G.I. Joe is the code name for a special operations unit of highly trained men and women. Their purpose is to defend the world against Cobra, a ruthless organization with criminal tentacles in every nation on Earth. And then we have a picture here that talks about the mission, and then instead of having little boxes of the different figures that are coming out, instead they've gone for a diorama portrait view, and they've even included some vehicles that are coming out in the line. We have the Ostriker that still has yet to be released. Some online stores probably have it by now, but have not seen this in my stores yet. We have the Hiss tank that almost every single store around me seems to have, at least two of them or more. We have Dusty right here. We have an Alley Viper, Zartan, and can't really tell right now because this figure might not have been released yet. We have an unnamed figure right there. Looks like a G.I. Joe figure though, from the G.I. Joe side. Then we have Dusty's ID card here, which says Dusty is code name. Name Ronald W. Tandor or something like that. Serial number 71-1111-RT05. Grade E4 Specialist. Mission Equipment AC-SC Arid Condition Sustained Cooling Automatic Weapon System. Then we have a little bit of a story kind of description thing here, saying Dusty is a desert combat specialist on the G.I. Joe team. He knows how to fight effectively in the desert, where there is no water, extreme daytime heat, freezing desert nights, and harsh sandstorms. He has adapted his machine gun for desert use and can expertly capture the enemy with a well-placed wire trap. So when they say wired trap, talking about this right here, this barbed wire, I'm assuming he would most likely put this in the sand, and then when figures, bad guys, cobras, walk over them, then they get trapped. I think that's one of the things that I like about these Pursuit of Cobra figures is they're getting the typical accessories you expect, swords, guns, masks, but then throwing in other environmental type and character specific traps and masks and stuff like that. I think is another great thing that the designers of this line have done. And then I want to bring this figure in just for a second here, because one of the things I've always enjoyed about G.I. Joe is how it talks about that they're a modern army figure, and they don't really need to do that. Maybe it saves them cost, printing cost, package looks a little bit better not having that stuff on there. But I think that's what I like about these Pursuit of Cobra figures is they're very modern, and I still, think they're futuristic, but they're not too far futuristic for me, um, and yet enough that they're not just everyday looks that we would see all the time. And I think that's why I like these figures so much. And then we'll go ahead and show Dusty the actual figure out of the package here. I did not even plan him to look like that. Just right there. Just put the guns in his hands, and already that's a really cool pose. Bend his leg a little bit. There's just, you know, so much detail and so much to like about these figures that, I just can't help but like them. I mean, even this little thing right here, which is kind of like, what would he use that for? But I'm thinking it's kind of like a snow jobs thing where Dusty would lay in the sand, and then this would allow the sand to blend. So it's kind of like a camouflage thing that I see. But I could also see him, wrapping it around the front of him or something to keep the sand off. And that's a good thing with him being armored, is that not only because, he needs that protection from um, firefights and all that kind of stuff, but, the sand I could see, shredding his body and everything really, if he's spending that much time in the sand. So I love all the different armor. If you've got this figure already, or you've seen some people with clearer cameras and everything, you'll notice that there's actually sand, motif kind of sprinkled and painted all over his skin. He just looks really, really great. The other thing about these figures is I think they do a great job of updating the figure, and yet at the same time keeping it very true to the character. So you got Dusty in his normal, tans, and browns and everything. But with this alternate head that you can put on the figure, he's got more of a, looks like a hood type of thing over his kind of baseball cap looking thing. And then he's also got some goggles that are on, and then the mask. But most of the time, Dusty always had some type of hat on, and then with some of the figures, they even have it where he's got, a scarf, or I can't think of the right term for it, but the type of hat that would have the fabric hanging off the sides of the hat, so it would protect him from the sand and then also the heat, beating down on his the back of his neck and everything. So there's his look of what he looks like on the card art. Then he's got his different guns here. Those that know guns a little bit better would probably be able to tell you what kind of guns they are. I haven't switched them to different hands, but I notice this one right here that looks like the modified one. It kind of doesn't fit in his hand completely straight, but I don't think it looks bad or anything. But yeah, just really a great look. Go ahead and look in the back. I mean, there's just so much stuff on these guys, but it's not too much, it's just the right amount. I think that's pretty much all I can say about Dusty, though. Just a very updated figure. Very excited to have him. Guess it could also show that not only does Dusty, have this head and then the other one we just had on him, but if you want him just to have that, you can. You can also have him with his other helmet on, so he has more of a kind of looking generic military look. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Duke, though, if I didn't know my figures a little bit better. You can, with some work, if I could have him standing up, you can get his goggles to come down over his head a little bit, and then with some work get it to stay on his helmet. But the helmet is a little big on him. So I'm going to try and do this. So there we go. So that's what he looks like with his goggles down. Can't really do because they're meant to go over the helmet and, just kind of stay above his head more than anything else. Can't really have them just by themselves because the band's a little too big. But if you could fix it somehow, if you really want him to, but should have, if you have a decent amount of G.I. Joe figures. Quite a bit of the other figures come with goggles, whether it's this line or don't know about so much about Rise of Cobra, but some of the 25th anniversary figures or Fireflies and stuff, they have their goggles. Oh, and then of course, I hadn't taken it out of the package yet, but they do have updated somewhat 25th anniversary stand here. It's mostly been changed because it doesn't have the stars that would be on the end of the stripes here. I think the 25th anniversary ones had the stars there, and then otherwise it's pretty much the same. Oh, and then of course it would say codename here and then Dusty, but this just says Dusty. And then we have the pamphlet that all the figures and vehicles come with. Great thing about this too, being a new line that is getting a lot of new tooling and everything, is here you have a picture of the Vamp, and definitely looking forward to that because the Vamp has been released a bunch of times, and so I think this is maybe not the first time, but pretty close to the first time that we've ever gotten a new Vamp. Usually it's always the old Vamp, and then they change the front or the back or something about it. But this looks, from what I can tell, like a totally brand new tooling. And then you've got Recondo, which I did find one of him. I still got to find another one. You've got a Jungle Viper hidden pretty well up here. And then we have Jungle Assault Duke telling Recondo, do you copy? The latest computer models show a structure hidden deep in the jungle. Looks like Cobra may have left us a clue. Meet me at 1400 hours and we'll jump into the Vamp and check it out in transmission. So, yep, so there's the video for Dusty from Pursuit of Cobra. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all later. Alright, bye.